We'd like to welcome everyone out to our City Council meeting this evening. I would like to call this meeting to order. We would like to begin by having a invocation by Jay Cranmer, after which Pledge of Allegiance will be given by Scott Hill.
Our kind and gracious eternal Father, we're indeed grateful this evening, Father, to be gathered in this meeting. We have deep gratitude in our heart for the opportunity we have to live here in this part of thy vineyard, for this beautiful city and the many opportunities that it presents to us. We would ask for thy blessings upon this current administration, that they will continue to lead us and guide us and direct us in a manner pleasing unto thee and beneficial to all. We would ask for thy blessings upon the first responders that put their lives on the line daily for our protection and safety and safekeeping. We're grateful, Father, for the beautiful city that thou hast provided here for us, and would ask that thou would guide us and direct us in keeping it beautiful and safe. And as we face this tremendous growth that we know is going to happen, that we'll have adequate planning and be able to continue to enjoy life here. We love thee, Father. We love this city. We love America. And we offer this prayer in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
The audience, please rise. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jay and Scott. We appreciate that. First item of business is to approve the minutes of the City Council meeting of September 12th, 2017. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we would like to go over the upcoming events within the city. Tomorrow we have the Orem City Fire Department open house from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Fire Station number 3, which is 255 North, 1200 West. On October the 12th, we have Al's Sporting Good ribbon cutting reception at 10 a.m. at University Place on the east side. On October the 12th, we have the UVU men's soccer game, and we have the Orem City Night that starts at 5 p.m. October the 14th, we have the Utah Valley University 27th Annual Scholarship Ball at 5:30 p.m. at the UCCU Center. On October the 17th, Orem High School is holding a special ceremony honoring one of the soldiers that are fallen in a foreign war. 19th, sorry. On October the 26th, we have the grand opening at noon of the talent team, New Business in Orem on 892 North State. October the 30th, we have the trunk or treat put on by the fire department and the police at Mountain View High School at 5 p.m. for the autistic children and 6 p.m. for all the rest of the families and children. On November the 7th, we have the general election. November the 10th, rather than the 11th, we have our Veterans Day program at 11 a.m. at the cemetery. This is to accommodate the CIRA program on the 11th. On November the 20th, we have the City of Orem lights on at 6 p.m. Here at the City Center, on November the 21st, we have the election canvass at 6 p.m. in this chamber with the final results. On November the 30th, we have the Police Awards banquet at the Senior Citizen Center. December the 5th, we have the City Council Executive Staff Christmas Party at 6 p.m. at Sleepy Ridge. And on the 21st, we have the City of Orem Employee Christmas Party from noon to 3 at UVU. We have one appointment to a board, and that is to the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, and that is for Charlotte Taylor. And I move that Charlotte Taylor be appointed to that committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We now would like to have the oath of office for the Orem Youth Council and would like to turn the time over to our city attorney, Greg Stevens, for that.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and council members, the Orem Youth Council is made up of some of the best and brightest of our Orem High School students. The Youth Council learns about city operations. They get a small taste of what it might be like to serve on the city council, and they provide service projects in the community. We'd like to invite each of the Youth Council members to come up to the podium and tell us your name and which high school you attend. And after you've done that, please stay up here, and then we'll swear you in as a group.
Don't be scared, just come forward.
Just, what do we say again?
Name and high school.
All right, hi. I'm Jonas Warner, and I go to Timpanogos. Yep. Just go up here.
I'm Brinley Buckstead, and I go to Mountain View.
I'm Caitlin Ramage, and I go to Orem High School. I'm Kennedy Sedimenta, and I'm from Timpanogos High School.
I'm Abby Dunn, and I go to Orem High School.
I'm Mara Goff, and I go to Orem High School.
I'm Talmadge Gaisford. I go to Orem.
So stay there. I'd like to get a picture with you, and we'd like to have you shake the hands of the council. So stay right there.
Mr. Mayor, some of the parents were trying to take pictures. Will you just allow them to come up and take a shot? Pretty much. There you go. Hey, congrats. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Good night. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have fun this year.
Have fun. We'll see you. Jay.
We appreciate the youth being willing to serve and look forward to them working and helping. So at this point, we would like to read a proclamation that the Natural Resources Stewardship Committee has worked on together with Utah Valley University. And I would like to read it as follows. Whereas a community's future health and quality of life are dependent on sustainable natural resources, and whereas the City of Orem is committed to the mission of protecting its natural resources of the city, and whereas the city demonstrates dedication to the cause of environmental stewardship as an active member of the Utah Valley Clean Air Task Force, and in the creation of the Orem Natural Resources Stewardship Committee, whereas conservation and the efficient and economical management of natural resources are fundamental objectives of these organizations, and whereas Utah Valley University is a partner with the city in the cause of sustainability, and whereas Utah Valley University's Sustainability Committee proposes to call attention to this cause by educating the public on matters of conservation and sustainability. Whereas Utah Valley University has asked the city for support in their endeavor by proclaiming October 25th, 2017 as Sustainability Day in the city of Orem. Whereas it is the city's desire to collaborate with Utah Valley University in these efforts. Now, therefore, I, Richard F. Brunts, Jr., Mayor of the City of Orem, Utah, do hereby proclaim October 25th, 2017 as Sustainability Day in the City of Orem and call upon all responsible citizens to do their part in helping protect and preserve our natural resources for future generations. Dated this 10th day of October, 2017. So we have Jim Murphy and Dean Dan Fairbanks here from UVU. I would like to have them come forward. And I would also like to mention who in the City of Orem is on our Natural Resources Stewardship Committee. Our chair is Sarah Bateman. If they're here, if they could please stand. Darren Hawkins, Aaron Lyons, David Staub, Gwenna Terry, and Brent Sumner from the City Council. So we appreciate all of them and the work they do. And I would like to present this to Jim Murphy and Dean Dan Fairbanks.
It's a digital camera. Printed on. Show that it's the whole council behind.
Hey, Mayor, I'm not sure if Mr. Murphy wanted to just tell a little bit about what UVU is doing. I don't know if he's got if you wanted, he's kind of in charge of a lot of the activities down there, and I think it's pretty phenomenal what they're doing. I don't know if that's okay or not.
Sure, Mark.
First of all, Mark, thank you for calling me Mr. Murphy. It's actually my father. But Sustainability Day is a great event for all the citizens of Orem, as well as the students, faculty, and staff of Utah Valley University. The purpose behind it is to provide current research and really timely information, but more importantly, it's to promote civil discourse on the topic of sustainability. And we have a number of speakers that are nationally known speakers that will be coming in. We have an exhibition area where local merchants as well as national not-for-profits will be sharing what they're doing in the cause of sustainability. And more importantly, it's a time that we can focus on the important thing of conservation and sustainability. So it means a lot. We met with the president this morning, and we're hopeful that this was going to happen this afternoon, and he was very grateful as well for the support that Orem City receives on so many levels from Utah Valley University and vice versa. It's a great partnership. We love being in the city of Orem, and we're very grateful for your ongoing support of our programs. And I hope you like the eclipse glasses. That was a
Yes, we appreciate that very much. My family appreciated that, as did all the council.
Thank you.
So we would like to take a vote on this proclamation, and I would move that we approve the proclamation for Sustainability Day on October the 25th. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Mayor, may I just add that the members of our Natural Resources Committee who are here in attendance this evening have been an active part of this event also at UVU, serving as members of, or at least one of them serving as a member of the Planning Committee. And I understand also they'll have a presence there at UVU as part of the Sustainability Day. So we very much appreciate their contributions and efforts as well. Thank you.
And you may want to go on the UVU website and see all the activities that they have scheduled for that day. So we would now like to go ahead and move forward. As is the case twice a year, we like to give out the Walter C. Orem Award to a deserving resident. And we've asked Councilmember Mark Seastrand if he would make that award.
Fantastic. This year we're recognizing Karen McCandless as the Walter C. Orem Award recipient. Karen McCandless is an Orem resident whose personal and professional focus is to serve others. She has devoted much of her life to building our community through volunteerism and leadership. Karen is a champion for many good causes, and her positive impact can be felt throughout the state of Utah. Karen has a degree from Brigham Young University in geography with an emphasis in urban and regional planning. She worked in both the private and the public sectors as a land use planner, and she is passionate about building strong communities through infrastructure, housing, economic development, and a wide variety of opportunities for residents to learn, grow, and succeed. Karen was appointed to the Orem City Council in February of 2001. She was subsequently elected to serve 3 4-year terms, and in her 13 years on the Orem City Council, Karen was well-liked, well-respected by elected officials, by city staff, and community residents. She was known for her thoughtful consideration of civic issues and her friendly and fair interactions with all members of the community. Karen never shied away from tough questions or hard decisions, and she invested a great deal of time and effort into understanding issues that were before the City Council and considering how those issues would affect Orem far into the future. During her City Council service, Karen was involved in many economic development decisions that built Orem's tax base and provided jobs for local residents. As a council member, she worked directly with leaders of Utah Valley University to provide guidance and input during a time of rapid growth and construction. She was an advocate of both the arts and recreation in Orem, supporting the development and construction of many recreational amenities in Orem, as well as the Cultural Arts and Recreation, or the CARE program. With her fellow council members, Karen helped to select an interim mayor and 2 city managers. Karen has always been a passionate advocate for children, seniors, and fights for those in the community who are homeless, living in poverty, or in substandard living conditions. She served as a board member for the Habitat for Humanity, a volunteer driver for Meals on Wheels, and as a trainer for the Bridges Out of Poverty initiative. Karen has been working with Community Action Services and Food Bank since 2013. She is now their executive director. Community Action plays a critical role in the lives of Utah Valley residents, providing both basic needs and long-term solutions to help individuals and families break out of the poverty cycle. Community Action Services and Food Bank is a volunteer hub and a lead agency in securing critical funding to address housing needs for those who are homeless, victims of domestic violence, and those who are disabled. Always seeking to lift others, Karen uses the knowledge and personal experiences she gained after the loss of her husband, Don McCandless. She uses these to comfort, support others who are also grieving. She is an advisory board member in the Hope for Widows organization and provides care and comfort to patients and families by serving as a chaplain at Utah Valley Regional Medical Center. She recently completed her chaplain studies and is in the process of receiving her clinical certification. Karen and her late husband, Don, are the parents of 2 daughters. Karen enjoys outdoor recreation, spending time with her family, and being the world's greatest grandmother to her granddaughter, Eleanor. for her incredible service and selfless service to family, to the neighborhood, to community, and it is our honor to present Karen McCandless with the Walter C. Orem Award for her honor, volunteerism, service, leadership, and love of family. Karen,
can you come forward and give her a round of applause?
Very deserving. Eleanor would be proud. Oh, really? Good to have you here. There's a speech.
Karen has served on the city council for many years, as was mentioned, and we appreciate all that she's done for the city. We now would like to move on to a report from the Recreation Advisory Commission. Carl Hurst and Chelsea.
Mayor and City Council, as you drive around Orem City and you see all the parks and all the fields and all the recreational facilities and activities going on, many of those have their beginnings in the Recreation Commission, especially some of the most recent ones that we've all attended, the ribbon cuttings for. A lot of those ideas started right here with this commission. So I'm pleased to introduce to you Chelsea Jolly. She is reporting today for the Recreation Commission. She is specifically our club soccer rep with that, and I turn the time over to Chelsea.
So I am Chelsea Jolly, and I am representing that Recreation Commission. As he said, on that committee, I represent the most competitive side of soccer in Orem City, which is the Rangers and Celtic soccer clubs. But all of the co-sponsor groups in Orem are represented on this commission as well. In the last year, 3 care tax projects have been completed: the All Ability Park, the Dog Park, and the Splash Pad. The community's desire for these projects was brought to the commission to study, and we addressed the feasibility of building them. We then recommended them to this council for approval and funding. Our latest proposal was for last year's $1 million to go towards a fitness center remodel, and potentially we will be requesting more funding for further renovations there as well, since we are seeing more needs in the fitness center and the building costs are escalating. We believe that good communication between Alpine School District and the city officials is a critical part of maintaining the growth of recreation in Orem. The community park ball field was a good example of that cooperation. As the sport becomes more popular in the school environment, the demand for the city's recreation department and city facilities to accommodate those sports increases as well. Lacrosse has recently become a sanctioned high school sport, and the expectation is that the recreation program will increase in numbers. These situations benefit both parties. A commitment from the city to have good access to recreation programs of activities their children participate in makes parents happy to use our city's programs and not search outside the area. The high school teams also benefit from a good youth program. I have spoken with Mountain View's new principal, Dave Smith, and he is very open and anxious to have a dialogue and continue a cooperative relationship with the city, since there are so many shared spaces within that block. As a city, we're in a good position with open space and sports fields, but a strong long-term commitment from this council to recreation in Orem is critical. Recreation continues to grow each year, and kids, their parents, and retirees want to be able to stay active and pursue their athletic interests. Soccer is obviously my area of expertise, mainly the most competitive side of state play, and I can tell you that Utah is producing top-level players at a rate that far exceeds the norm for our population. Real Salt Lake has recently brought their academy back from Arizona to Utah and is filling a demand for players that want to be recognized nationally. Rangers and Celtic has always tried to fill the need of those parents and players that want to have the best training and play at the highest level without impacting every aspect of their families' lives. Having been a part of Orem for over 30 years has allowed us to do this. We have a small number of teams compared to all the clubs, and our focus is to center on top quality coaching and development of players. This model's proved successful again and again, and in this last year, 5 of our teams won their state tournaments, advanced to the regional tournaments in Seattle, and 2 teams won that tournament to advance to Texas for nationals, with 1 team making it to the semifinals of the national tournament. In the last 2 or 3 years, we've had 3 girls called up to play for the U.S. team for their age and have been to those training camps and tournaments. These are the players that make up the majority of the starter on all the high school teams here in Orem, and many of those coaches have been trained through our club system as well. Soccer in Orem at the high school and club level has been a sport that has competed well in state and nationally, and all indicators are that it will continue on this track. My husband and I were raised in Orem, and we, as well as our siblings, all participated in many of the recreation programs, competitive sports, and many on to college level athletics. Our children have done the same, and now many of them are back coaching youth in Orem. They've been able to have jobs as teenagers because of recreation programs available here, and we as a family are grateful for the opportunities recreation in Orem has offered, and our family and all others throughout the year. And this commission would like to continue that tradition of the strong support of recreation in the city. Thanks.
Thank you. Carl, anything you'd like to add?
We just appreciate all the support. We feel like we have a very recreation positive council, and we hope to bring some great ideas to you in the future.
And all the youth sports that we cover, so we have Orem Youth Baseball.
Orem Youth Baseball, football, that changed its names a little bit. Orem Youth Soccer, OTAC is our swimming group.
Okay, great. They're all very active groups and cover a lot of youth, so appreciate it. Thank you very much for the report and appreciate your good work. Thank you. We'll now go on to the personal appearance portion of our meeting this evening. I'd just like to mention that time has been set aside for the public to express their ideas and concerns and comments on items not scheduled as public hearings on the agenda. Those wishing to speak are encouraged to show respect for those who serve the city. Comments should focus on issues concerning the city and should be limited to 3 minutes or less. And when you come forward, please give us your name. So we'd like to start out with Terry Peterson, after which we'll hear from Ling Hilton.
Hello, City Council. My name is Terry Peterson. I'm here to talk about Orem City and the Alpine School District. Our taxes keep going up as we all get ready to pay them next month, and a lot of times concerned citizens don't realize that a very small portion of the taxes we pay actually go to Orem City. The majority of it goes to the Alpine School District. I'll probably take the questions as city representatives. The problem the district faces is huge growth. We also have growth in Orem, but there is massive growth north and northwest in the Alpine School District. So the decision from the Alpine School District was, how do we fund that growth? The decision was made to start closing neighborhood schools in Orem. Brent Sumner and I sat in a meeting with the school board a few years ago when the former superintendent said we don't close neighborhood schools. I guess that's changed, new superintendent. What's the history of Orem City and the district? Orem built Alpine School District. A few years ago now, Geneva Steel was a major fundraiser for Alpine School District. The district hasn't been able to provide me the numbers, but 70 to maybe 80% of the funds that built Alpine School District came from Orem, the Orem Geneva Steel. Well, we don't have the steel plant anymore, so what are the numbers now? Now we have Orem City pays the Orem residents pay 26% of the cost to run Alpine School District. The next biggest city is Lehigh at 19%. The third biggest is American Fork at 8%. We pay 3 times what American Fork does for Alpine School District. How big is Alpine? How big is the district? There are 12 cities that feed into the district. 12 cities, 80,000 children, $700 million budget, one of the 40th biggest districts in the nation. So, Jamie Davidson, you're going to have to put on a different hat as I say this, because this is not a Lehigh issue. I know you're a resident of Lehigh, your children attend Lehigh, you're a Lehigh taxpayer. Take that hat off, because none of us here represent the district or Lehigh. We represent what's best for Orem. What are we asking to do? We're asking for Orem to consider doing a feasibility study to see if this is the right time for Orem to become their own school district. A feasibility study will give us the numbers. What will it cost the district? Nothing. There's a citizen in Orem who is willing to pay for this feasibility study. What do other cities our size do in the state? Good question. To my knowledge, none of the other cities in the state our size are part of a bigger district. Ogden, separate district. Logan, separate district. Provo, separate district. Nebo. So City Council, what we ask for is your support to have a feasibility study done. Cost the city nothing, but let's just find out the facts. Does it make sense? Is this the time for Orem to be a separate district? For those that are currently on the board that support that, thank you for your support. For those that are running for the City Council that have said they support it, we thank them also. Let's don't make a mistake in the city of what was done a few years ago, where as a city there was decisions made.
I'll have to have you stop, Terry.
Okay, can I finish my sentence?
Sure.
Let's don't make the mistake that was made a few years ago in the city, where there was decisions costing millions of dollars to the taxpayers without city input. So all we ask is let's let the citizens decide what's best for the citizens.
Thank you. Now hear from Ling Hilton.
I didn't know that's what I'm signed up for. I thought that's attendance, but since I have this opportunity, I will express my concern. My house at 441 South and 60 West, when we bought home January 2010, at that time the former owner didn't disclose to us that he knew that the assisted living going to build another 16-bed building. So after we bought it, my husband and I, we moved from Seattle to here. We bought a home, then we went to Taiwan, lived for 6 years to take care of my aging mother. She passed away last year. We moved back last June. We found out this gigantic building. Not only that, they have a 5-ton exhausting fan, both for heater and air conditioning, blow right to my kitchen and my back door. We are not only block the view, we cannot open our door 24 hours because since I came back from last September and now, I've been constantly seeing my doctor. Both my husband and me were constantly coughing. We don't know that's directly connected to that. That's why I'm the only one in our neighborhood here, because it doesn't affect anybody but our home. We're just next to it. The fan is less than 10 feet. I don't know the zoning of the Orem. We're just living in prison. We cannot open our back door, our bedroom window. It's just right. They could face to send us 400 South or face the main street. No, they chose to just directly in our face. I don't know what we can do. So that's my concern. That's why I'm here. I don't know what's the other agenda. My husband will be late, 6:30. He said he wanted to talk. Since I'm Chinese, he doesn't trust. my ability to express myself. Thank you.
Could you just clarify your address, please? I didn't write it down.
441 South, 60 West.
60 West.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. We'll now turn some time over to Paul Crossett, after which Debbie Dunn.
My name is Paul Crossett. It's good to see all of you. I came from a ball game, so I apologize. I'm always in sweats or something besides appropriate dress for a meeting like this. But I just wanted to make a few comments. I know the city council, with the issue with the school board, doesn't have any authority. The school board can act on their own. But as we look at this equity study, feasibility study, I would look for the support of the council so that we can gather the information needed to make good choices. And I know this has been done in the past, but there's nothing wrong with current information. The numbers that we've been getting provided by the district, there is some issues there with what they're providing. It's a little offensive to be told that we're being carried and that they need to do something because they're carrying Orem and subsidizing some of our schools. I don't think that's appropriate, because I know that that's not true. And I know our tax base is going up, property values are soaring, which means there's more revenue. And if our student population is leveled off or declining a little bit, I don't see that as a problem. That allows us to have more money to spend per student within our city. So I would just look at this point for your support to say, yeah, this is a good idea to have these reports done so that we can make educated decisions on how Orem should move forward and meet the needs of the citizens of Orem. And you know, as the Rec Commission reported, you can see how important families are in this city, and it's important that we protect that. So thank you for your time, and please support us in these efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
A little over 4 years ago, my husband and I moved to Orem. We made the big move from Pleasant Grove. We are parents of 6, and we were at the point where we either needed to remodel our home or look to acquire a larger home in order to fit our family. So as we looked around in Utah County, we kept coming back to Orem, and our decision was made to move to Orem. Why Orem? Because to us, it was the perfect fit for our family, and it represented a growing community that we felt would fit and match our growing family. Fast forward 4 years, we've had a great experience. We've graduated our first. We got 2 more at Orem High, and so in a couple years, half of our kids will be out of the home, which makes me feel old, and I'm not old. So they just might not be able to graduate. But it confuses me to hear the Alpine School District using this word subsidizing. To me, when I hear the word subsidizing, I think of struggling. And when I look at Orem, I don't look at a struggling city. I look at what you as a city council and mayor have done to be providing infrastructure for future growth. And I don't feel that the school district's decision to be looking at closing elementary schools is in line with future growth that everyone is predicting that is going to happen in Orem and the rest of Utah County. So my question is Southeast Orem not going to grow? Are we a pocket that everyone else around us will grow except for Southeast Orem? I think the answer to that is no, and that we need to get more information to understand. I believe information is power, and right now, Alpine School District has all the information. In the beginning, they shared with us a teeny sliver of data, and they have given us more, but I still feel like it is just a little bit compared to the whole pie, and that we need to get all the information to understand how closing an elementary school and our thriving city is beneficial to the citizens of Orem. It just doesn't make sense to me. And so the way to understand that is to get more information. So that's why I ask that you discuss and vote to do a feasibility study. Again, information is power. Let us have the information. Let you have the information so we would understand how Alpine School District is viewing our city differently than we are. They are not viewing this as a thriving city that is going to grow. Clearly they think it's not going to. That's why they want to close our elementary school. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from Alex Dunn.
I thought my wife signed me up to volunteer in the library. Thanks for taking the time tonight. I've talked to each one of you about this issue, and you've heard some other speakers. I think what is happening here from a school district perspective, I can certainly understand. Having to run a business, make hard decisions, and you know, things that are hard and maybe not popular. I think the district has not been forthcoming for their reasons for doing this. And they've been promising Sierra Park a new school for a long time. And I think they see an opportunity here to sell Hillcrest, make a lot of money because where Hillcrest is located, and pay for the new build of Sierra Park. Which on its face is probably, there's nothing wrong with that, other than the taxpayers of Orem have paid for about $100 million of bonds since 2001 that hasn't been used in Orem. And so it feels like that certainly Orem has paid enough to have a new Sierra Park school built and to have Hillcrest remain open. The one other point is you have a school about 0.7 miles away from Hillcrest that is bursting at the seam. Has trailers to be able to house all the students. And that doesn't make a lot of sense to me that you'd close a school down where less than a mile away you have a school that is already too big for the building that it has. All of this leads me to wonder why these decisions are being made, and that has led me to talk to Rob Smith at the district and try and understand. Hey, is Orem taking or are we contributing? He has given me an analysis. I think he gave you the same analysis. As you know, I run a big company, and quite honestly, after spending about an hour looking at that analysis, if I got that analysis from anybody in my finance department, they'd be fired because there are just a lot of inaccuracies, or not necessarily inaccuracies, but it is not giving us the accurate picture. And I'm actually happy to sit down with each of you. They're showing a $5 million burden that the district is having to take on. I think very easily it's a $5 to $10 million surplus that we're contributing, on top of the fact that we have paid for a lot more bonds than what we're getting. I'm not totally sure exactly what the accurate picture is. And so for me, I think we've talked to the mayor about doing an equity study, a feasibility study. For me, it's about getting it. And I think it's important that we have an independent report or equity study done so that we can have the data to accurately make decisions that are in the best interest of Orem.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll now go ahead and close the personal appearance portion of our meeting and move on. There are no consent items. We'll go to our first scheduled item, which is a public hearing to rezone from C1 to R8. A piece of property amending section 22-5-3A and change the zoning from C1 to the R8 on two properties consisting of approximately 1 acre located at 410 to 430 South Main. And our presenter is Jason Bench. Is the developer here, Jason? The applicant?
I don't know if he is, actually. Don't believe so.
Okay.
So thank you, Mayor Brunst, members of the council. The item before you tonight was brought forward by the city. So we are requesting that the property be rezoned from C1 back to R8. On the property, there are 2 assisted living facilities, like you said, located at 410 and 430 South Main Street. Back in 2009, the City Council considered rezoning the property from the R8 zone, which housed, at that time, 1 building with 16 beds. The applicant wanted to build another building. In order to do that, they had to rezone the property. At the time of the rezone, the council did enter into a development agreement that did prohibit some uses. But as we found recently, it did not preclude a detox facility or other types of uses that would be a transitional type treatment. So having heard that, we wanted to basically allow the use to remain, but not allow those different types of uses to come into the facility. So in order to do that, we are requesting that we rezone the property back to R8. The existing facility would be able to remain and would continue to operate as a legal non-conforming. So they could be able to keep both buildings, both occupied at 16 units, as an assisted living facility, but that would be the extent that they would be able to do. And so that's our request. Be glad to address any questions.
Any questions from the council? Councilmember McDonald?
If this property owner wants to sell that property, what's the effect of a legal non-conforming, i.e. can the next owner operate it the exact same way, or does he...
Exact same way, yes.
Different.
So legal non-conforming, as long as they don't modify any of the use itself, they can maintain it in perpetuity if they chose to.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lentz.
And if the buildings as they are now were destroyed due to fire or natural disaster, would they be allowed to rebuild it as is for that same use?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It's only if the developer chooses to redevelop that they have to then meet the current zone.
But reconstruction would be different from redevelopment then?
Correct.
Thank you.
One more question, if I may, Mayor.
Yes, Councilor McDonald.
Does the tennis court to the south belong to that organization or to a private homeowner behind there?
I believe that's a private home.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll ask one.
Councilmember Eastman.
So in the future, if there was an appropriate usage in a different type of zone configuration, that would be coming forward towards the City Council for approval.
Yes.
So this is not, this is for now, but in the future, if there's some appropriate usage, they could ask for another zone change.
It doesn't preclude an applicant or property owner to come and request the council to make a change in the future. That's correct.
Yes, Steve.
Maybe just to clarify on that, there are other similar types of uses that this could potentially change to without having to come through for a zone change, because they are basically fit within the same category of land use, even though they're a little bit different. So for example, right now it's being used as an assisted living facility for elderly persons. If they wanted to transition that to, say, a facility for disabled persons who weren't necessarily elderly but were disabled in some other capacity, that would be considered basically the same use, and they could do that. What they wouldn't be allowed to do is to transition to a completely different type of use. The example given being a rehabilitation, say a drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility. That would be a different type of use that they would not be able to do in the R8 zone.
So the Planning Commission did review it and did make a recommendation to the council rezone it back to the R8 zone.
Okay. Councilmember Sumner.
Do you see any negative effects on the neighbor? They're pretty close, right? 10 feet. Is there any negative impact on them that you can see?
Actually, it would probably be more of a positive, because it then prohibits or precludes some additional uses that we haven't foreseen yet that may want to come into that facility as a C1 zone. This would then stop that from coming in.
Okay.
Councilor McDonald.
Steve, it's impossible for you to give a total list of what could go in there, but would a physical rehab be okay? A mental rehab would be okay? At what point, what type of facility, could a hotel go in there? Obviously not, because it's an R8, but could you give us some examples? And frankly, I know one of the neighbors are here tonight, and it is what it is today. What might it become without this movement, and what can it stay with this proposed action of back to R8?
So right now it's in the C1 zone, which allows certain limited types of commercial uses. And as Jason mentioned earlier, when we originally did the rezone to C1, there was a development agreement that did limit some of those uses that could go in there. So, but C1 is, I think the primary uses that we were concerned about would probably be something like a transitional treatment facility that could go in there right now under a C1 type of a zoning. You know, the types of uses that it could transition to if it goes back to R8 are significantly reduced. I mean, basically you're talking, you know, residential type uses. I mean, single family homes, a church, you know, things like that. You know, would not be a place for a rehab facility where people are going to rehab from surgery or things like that. That would be a commercial use that would not be permitted. I forget what the other ones were that you mentioned, but
so a Stonehenge type could not.
Yeah, Stonehenge would not be allowed there. No.
So if I've read this correctly, prior to 2009, the property was zoned R8, and they were allowed to have an 8-bed facility there.
Correct.
They wanted to increase that to a 16-bed facility and put in a second building. To do that, they had to go ahead and change the zoning, or the council did, from an R8 to C1. They were very concerned when it was changed from an R8 to C1 that the uses be limited to the assisted living, which the owner at that time assured the council and the mayor that that was his intent.
Correct.
Since then, the property has now been sold, and as a C1, it allows a lot of different uses that were never intended for that property. So, as I understand it, that's the concern of staff, to bring it back to an R8, which was how it was approved in the first place as an assisted living facility. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, I too have concerns over the fact that the original intended use is being, or could be, changed, and that in fact this really should be an R8 situation, and the only reason it went to a C1 was to allow the second building. And so that is of a concern to me. Any other comments from the council? Okay, yes, Sam.
And I think this property might be adjacent to the resident that spoke earlier during personal appearances. And so maybe the staff could address some of those concerns. And this is a public hearing, correct?
Is to let her husband speak first, and then we can talk about that afterwards.
My question that I'm hoping that we can answer at that point is, making this change would not give them essentially more flexibility, more freedom to take advantage of being adjacent to a residential property. If anything, this would limit their ability of, you know, uses that might encroach on neighboring properties and such. Now, how long has that building been in place with that use then?
Since 2009, I believe.
Okay. So, and maybe you can address this during the public hearing portion, but I was trying to figure out how it could have changed so dramatically. I think it was, you said, a difference of a year or two from when you came back, but maybe we can get a clearer update during the public hearing portion. So, thank you.
Okay, so any other comments from the council? Okay, we'll go ahead and open this up for public comment on this issue. Anyone who would like to come forward and express their concerns is welcome to do so. Please state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes. So I believe your wife wants you to come up and speak. I'm sorry. So right over there is the podium. He said you have better English.
My name is Jeff Hilton. We live adjacent to the second building there. When they put that up, they put a 5-ton blower on top of the roof, and it's 15 feet away from my backyard. We can't even carry on a conversation when that thing's running.
How long have you lived where you live?
7 years.
Okay.
Well, we've owned it for 7 years. Our son lived there for a while. Now we came back from abroad and live there now.
That's what I was missing.
So what happened there when they built the second building while we were away concerns us, but I don't know if there's anything we can do about it at this point.
Yeah, Jason, unless you have a comment, that really isn't what we're discussing here.
No.
So that you could bring up with city staff, but if they're within the ordinances, then they're within the ordinances. Anyone else care to make a comment? Okay, we'll go ahead and bring it back to the council and close the public comment portion of this public hearing. Any comments from the council? My personal feeling on this is that originally it was an R8 zone. It was set up for assisted living. I believe that to protect that intent from when they approved the second building, that it should go back to an R8 zone. So I will make a motion to approve the rezone of 410, 430 South Main from a C1 to an R8 zone. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. We'll start with Councilmember Sumner.
Aye.
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 Okay, the ordinance passes. Thank you, Jason. Jamie, do you have some comments you'd like to bring up?
Just a couple, if I may. The first is we'd like to wish Councilmember Spencer a happy birthday, and we'd invite you to join us for treats after.
67, is that correct?
In 107.
No, not 67. Thank you.
That's when he was born.
Secondarily, we had a conversation yesterday with Councilmember Luray, who serves as a member of the Summerfest Committee, and the suggestion was that we bring to you kind of an update as to going forward with the Summerfest Committee. Some recommendations have been made as to potential changes to the committee, and I just wanted to let you know that we're scheduled to have that conversation next week as part of our work meeting. We have notified all the members of the Summerfest Committee and invited them to attend as well. So just wanted to put that on your radar screen as it relates to future meetings, since we have not had that discussion in the past. But we are at a point where planning and all the logistics for the 2018 Summerfest celebration are fast approaching. So we want to get this in front of you sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor McDonald?
Unrelated to the Summerfest, obviously we've had several people speak about the Alpine School District boundaries and how we do or are not affected, and the question of whether we commit to a study. Are we going to be able to discuss this in a pre-meeting in the coming time where we get to some kind of resolution?
So I have reached out to the Alpine School District and made that request. One of the challenges is their meetings are scheduled at the same time as our meetings. So finding a time that can work, potentially the scheduled joint council meeting that we have with the school district in November is potentially an opportune time to have that conversation.
But maybe too late given their current time frame for the residents, as I see it.
My understanding is that the school district has postponed a decision on this matter into the near future. I do not know if they
set a date.
I do not know if they have set a date. And
could we get a resolution on their timing before we meet next week, so we know what we ought to discuss? Because we may have to move ahead with or without their representation. I mean, I'd love to wait, but if they'll push it a month or two, I think that would make the citizens here. Okay.
So we will check with them and see if they're actually taking a vote on that date. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. No other comments. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we're adjourning to room 107 to have a celebration for Dave.
And our meeting with them is November 15th. So if they vote on the 14th.
Hey, that's my. Oh.
Okay, I got you a little book.
That was so funny. I thought, gosh, I didn't put all this stuff in here.
I guess it is a large purse. That's what about it.
Hey,
you
should see Becky. She says, get keys out of there. You know, it's a treasure hunt.
I always put my keys on here.
Oh, sorry, Brett.
Happy birthday. I'm going to stop you all the time.
This is a tough spot.
I know it.
That corner is.
If we ever put in a new building, we're going to make it where there's